Hi, my name is Asia from Remnant Walk, and today I just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about paganism in your child's school. Um, so you've always heard about something called separation of church and state. Well, it's not really a thing. Um, they don't allow you to teach about, say, Christianity, or they don't allow you to teach Christianity or anything in the public school system, but the public school system does have religion. And I'm a teacher. I am a pre-K special ed teacher. And I've been teaching pre-K for years, both general ed and special ed. And early into my career as a teacher, one thing that I learned is that we pretty much almost teach the holidays, along with the skills. We teach the holidays every month. Every month we are teaching something. August is back to school, which is fine as far as I know. I'm still learning. It starts when you get to about October, right? So if you are serious about your walk and about your children's walk, and what you want them to learn and what you want them to know, I am telling you that in October, all of the teachers, I'd say it's definitely pre-K, kindergarten, those early grades. I don't know how high up it goes or where it stops. I don't remember doing any of that stuff in, say, high school or anything. But, they do still have, like, some stuff, just not as plentiful and as much as in the early grades, which is the time in life where kids just absorb like sponges. So, October, they're doing Halloween. And some teachers are very enthusiastic about Halloween. They are, certainly all the teachers are dressing up. I never was really one to dress up for the holidays. I never really did celebrate Halloween I didn't grow up celebrating Halloween. And I might have participated a couple of years, really as an adult. But there are some teachers who absolutely love Halloween, and they are dressing up as witches, and all of their activities in class and circle time consist of, what does the witch say? What does the ghost say? And, they're making, you hear me? Listen to this. They're making witches' brews with your kids. It might not be a real witch's brew, but they're making something in a big plastic cauldron, and they're dressed up like a witch, and they're, doing it alongside your kids, and it's like, oh, let's put in, and it might just be like some, Chex cereal and some M&Ms and things like that, but they're calling it a witch's brew. And your kids, your kids are learning these things, right? November, all of the holidays, December, Oh my gosh, December. So, in December, lots of teachers, lots of them, they have that little elf. I was grown when I learned about that elf, the elf on the shelf elf. But they cannot wait to pull that thing out. And they're doing that thing the whole season with your kids. The kids get to name the elf, and they tell the elf all about they tell the kids all about how the elf is watching them. Elf is watching them, and they are, reporting back to Santa regularly. Sometimes the elf leaves treats for the kids. Say like the kids go outside for recess and maybe they were good that day, and so when they come back there's this surprise treat in the class and a note from the elf, Pagan. What else? It's so much. They don't do too much for New Year's. January, February, February. February is Valentine's, Cupid's. They're doing all the things. This is a perfect opportunity to learn how to write a letter. Pre-K is a little young for writing a letter, but they're writing their friends' names. They're doing things. They're doing something to acknowledge or incorporate Valentine's Day into their lessons and activities. And it's the whole month. And if you live in New Orleans, then you also have Mardi Gras. Highly pagan. Highly pagan. I didn't know. I don't know how I didn't know, but the parades, the floats, they're named. A lot of them are named stuff like Babylon. Zulu has like witch doctors and just, I can't even think of it all off the top of my head. I didn't write any of this down. This was just on my heart. But March was March. March is St. Patrick's. Oh my gosh. The same thing that they do in December with the elf, they do that in March with a leprechaun. Leprechauns are leaving notes, leaving footprints, making little messes in the classroom, being mischievous. When the kids come back, there's this big mess, and it's like, oh no, who did this mess? Oh, it was the leprechaun. And they're building traps, how to trap a leprechaun. And I'm telling y'all this, I was doing this too. I learned it from from my peers. I had no idea for years that this is, pagan. But this past year, I have not been doing anything. And I just been teaching. I've been teaching basic skills. I've been teaching, letters, numbers, colors, shapes, all those things, and not incorporating themes. Sometimes I have to fight myself from feeling bad because that the parents are expecting crafts that are these things, and you're just giving them regular stuff, sending home regular things with their kids, and it's like, nobody has complained, because fortunately I'm not their like main teacher. They have a regular ed teacher, and I'm just like their special ed teacher. I'm doing pull-outs, so I guess they don't hopefully expect too much. This as far as, you know, the seasonal crafts and activities. So what's next? After March, you got April. Oh my gosh, Easter. You know, they are dealing with Easter. They're doing the eggs. They're doing the rabbits. They're doing all of the things. What's next? I'm still learning, so I'm not sure what to make of Earth Day. For right now, it's not necessarily huge on my radar, but I feel like everything in Babylon has a way of being wrong. Mother's Day is something, you know. And I heard some stuff about Mother's Day. I don't know. I'm not going to go into Mother's Day because I think I don't know enough about it. But what I'm telling y'all is that if you are serious about your walk, if you're serious about your walk with Yah, if you are serious about following all of his laws and statutes, you know, which is still a thing. It has not been done away with when Yahushua died on the cross. He said he didn't come to do away with the law. He came to fulfill it. And he says, if you love me, you'll obey me. And what do you mean, obey me? You know, what do you mean? Well, I have some laws. I have some statutes. You know, obey them, you know. So if you're serious about your walk and your kids' walk, you may want to reconsider, you know, what you're doing as far as your child's schooling. And I know that's a big something because, you know, people have to work. But if you don't want your kids exposed to all of these things, even if you tell your child's teacher and say, you know, we don't want our kid participating in these things because of our faith, your kid is still going to be exposed to these things. And what's going to happen, and I know this for a fact because I grew up I was a Muslim. My dad was Muslim, and I went to Catholic school. And I mean, he used to teach me at home as far as, you know, what he felt like was true and not true and what not to fool with. But I mean, still, as a kid, when all your class is doing a thing and they set you off to the side and you can't participate, it does something, you know. In fact, what it does is as soon as you get a chance to get away from that restrictive environment, then you want to do all of that stuff that you feel like you missed. So you don't want your kid to necessarily be in that position. So if there's a way for you to homeschool, I would recommend that. I would recommend homeschooling. You know, unless there's a school out there that follows the way, you know, that would be awesome. If it is, let me know. Y'all let me know. Put it down in the comments. So anybody who's watching this who wants that, let them know, you know. But if there's a school that follows the way, then that would be a good choice. But other than that, I mean, if you can't homeschool, you have to be so on top of things as far as teaching your kids, you know, reading Bible stories, telling them the truth. They're still going to see those other things, they're still going to see it. And they're going to be, it's hard. It's hard when you're a kid, all these kids talking about what they're going to dress up like for Halloween and what they're going to, all the candy that they got. Christmas. What's Santa going to bring you for Christmas? It's best for them to not even be in that environment, Don't even have their hearts longing for that, We have feast days. Yah has given us feast days, and our feast days are fun too. Sukkot, Feast of Tabernacles, Hanukkah, or the Feast of Rededication. All those things, we have feasts, Passover. You can make it a memorable time, a memorable event, something that they love and something that they look forward to. And, they'll know that they have feast days, actual feast days that were given to us by Yah, and not just like these pagan feast days that people were going to burn for, not even knowing. And even when you tell them, some people, once you tell them, they don't take it seriously, If you are a person who reads the Bible and you take things seriously, then they a lot of people are like, you take things too seriously. But you're supposed to. You're supposed to. So anyway, that was literally all that I came on here to talk to y'all about. I hope you got something from this. My whole thing is I am not a pastor or a preacher or anything like that. I am still new to the way, but I'm learning, and as I learn, I'm trying my best to incorporate everything into my life, and I want to let as many people know as possible. I want to share, it's a salvation issue, It's a salvation issue. And please be following the Sabbath. That's the thing that Yah said was going to be a sign, between him and us. So that's it. That's all I have. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing and sharing these videos with anybody that you know that's in the way. Share these videos and just, let's help each other with our walk. And that's it. Bye for now.